everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is an updated eyeshadow palette collection video. And I did one of these probably about a year ago now on my channel, and I think you guys liked it. I can't exactly remember. But eyeshadow palettes are my absolute favorite thing in makeup. If you're subscribed to my channel, you know that. I have an entire review playlist on my channel, and every single one of those reviews is over an eyeshadow palette. To me, they are the most versatile palette or a thing in makeup. I mean, you can do so many things with them, and they're just, I feel like they're things I get the most questions on, if that makes any sense. My brain is mush. I have a cold, so I sound a little funny, and I haven't filmed in like a week, so my brain is just, it's not activated yet, so bear with me. So subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and hit my notification bell so you know when I upload. Give this video a big thumbs up, and let's go ahead and get started with the video. Okay, so I have way too many palettes for one person, and there's actually, I believe, 2 of them not here. I'm actually at home right now, and 2 of them are in my dorm. I have the Balm Nude Tude palette, and I did a review on that. It'll be linked somewhere. And I also have the L'Oreal palette Nude 2, I believe. They're both in my dorm. I don't go back to school for another week the day I'm filming this, but by the time is uploaded, I'm probably already back at school. So if you have questions about those, leave a comment down below, DM me on Instagram. I don't think my DMs are open on Twitter, but they are open on Instagram. So yeah, I think that's it. So I'm just gonna start with this one right back here. This is the only palette I have that I have not actually used yet as the time I'm filming this video. When I upload this, I've probably already filmed the review over this, and it'll probably be up right after this or pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. But this is the Mulan Warrior Reflection palette from Hot Topic. If you are familiar with my channel, you know I do a lot of reviews over Hot Topic palettes. Some of them are not that great, and some of them are actually pretty good. I didn't really care for the Moana palette. I believe I told you in that review video that if you scrape off the top layer, it works a lot better. It does, but it's still not great. I actually ended up decluttering it because it's not that great of a palette. But I do like a couple of the Hot Topic palettes. This is what the Mulan Warrior Reflection palette looks like, and if you are curious about it, like I said, I will be doing an entire review video where I swatch everything and I do a whole eyeshadow look with using just this palette. So hopefully the palette does okay. It looks pretty good. I mean, I've swatched this one, Dishonor on Your Cow. I've only swatched this one so far, I believe. No, I may have swatched Bloom as well, but I think I've only swatched those 2. And they swatched really, really well. So I don't know how they'll perform in the eyes quite yet, but I'm planning on filming this video very, very soon, and the palette does look pretty promising. Cute packaging. Hot Topic does do the Disney limited edition Princess palette every now and then. Some of them are not that great, but some of them are better than others. So we'll just stick with the Hot Topic palette theme. For now, I have 4 here that I'd like to share with you. One of them I don't think you guys have seen on my channel at all, and if you have, it's been in a collection video or something. This is the Nickelodeon eyeshadow palette from Hot Topic. I don't think this is available anymore, but it was available over the summer. And the shades in here are really, really cool. I mean, they look pretty average, but when you actually swatch them, they have a really unique undertone to them. This orange is really nice. Some of these shades in here don't work that well. I mean, this purple's okay. This blue's okay. But overall, this palette is really, really nice for the price tag. I think it's like $13 or something. If you can find it, I would recommend it. It's great. Is it as great as my Too Faced or Lorac or Anastasia palette? No, not at all. Those are my top 3 brands. You guys know that. Too Faced, Anastasia, Lorac. They're my favorite eyeshadow formula. But this to be from, you know, the drugstore, kinda, it is like $13, $15, but it's not as steep as a price tag as high-end like Sephora or something. It's near drugstore prices. Is really, really nice, and it has a spot for a brush. I think it came with one, but I don't exactly know where it is. And yeah, they are really, really nice. I mean, I will swatch this green. The green is beautiful. Let's swatch a matte too. Let's swatch this like burgundy. You see what I mean? Like, they are just really, really really good. When you layer the green, it looks a lot better, but the mattes in here are incredible to be from the drugstore. You just kind of have to layer this green a couple times to get pigment. That's 2 swatches right there, that green. So I mean, it is a nice palette. It does work, and I need to wipe these swatches off, but the palette does work itself. It does need a little extra help, but if you use the right eyeshadow primer, you can definitely get this palette to work. I'm giving you a full in-depth kind of like review over these palettes as much as I can, just because I know sometimes people sell limited edition palettes over again on Poshmark and things like that, and you might be curious. And yeah, so if you have any questions about a palette and I didn't answer it, just leave it down below or DM me. You guys know the drill with that. But this one I actually did a full review on. This is the Wonder Woman eyeshadow palette, and this is probably my favorite palette from Hot Topic, if I can get it all in the shot here. This palette is incredible. The only ones I didn't really care for are the glitter shades. So Wisdom, Fire, and Fierce, I didn't really care for them at all. The glitter is an overspray. The shadow underneath is still usable, but I don't love the glitter overspray on shadows. This is incredible. I used this recently in a video. I believe it was my Thanksgiving look I uploaded on Thanksgiving. I believe I used it for this green here. This green and this blue are absolutely incredible. The mattes in this palette again are beautiful. I did a whole video dedicated to this palette, so I will have it linked in the cards or down below or somewhere you will find it. But I absolutely love this palette. Again, if you can buy it, I would recommend it to you. This is one of the best ones from Hot Topic, if not the best from Hot Topic. It's great, and it was only $14.90, so it was $15. And the only thing that's really weird is that it's really, really long. Like, it's as long as my forearm. Like, it's huge, and I didn't expect it to be this long, because online it seems a lot smaller, but it is pretty big, so I would keep that in mind. Next is a palette I also did a review on, and to be honest, I have not touched this palette since I filmed that review, so it'll probably end up being in a future declutter video. But this is the Riverdale palette, and I love the packaging on this. I love Riverdale. It's one of my favorite TV shows ever, and this is what the palette looks like right here. The shades in here are okay. I mean, they're not really cohesive when you like look at it as a palette. For some reason it's not wanting to focus. There we go. They're not really cohesive as a palette. I mean, they work together. Yeah, you can get a look with this, but it's not like, I wouldn't have thought to put these shades together, if that makes sense. But the palette itself does work. I remember liking it. Is it the best thing I've ever used? No, I do remember liking it. I do remember getting a full look with this, and I liked the look. The shadows definitely need to be layered. They definitely need to be worked with, but are they the worst shadows I've ever used? No. Are they the best? No, but can you use them? Yeah, you can use them. So I do like this palette. I feel like it'd be great for a beginner or somebody who just wants to experiment with eyeshadows. Maybe you're not a beginner, you just don't wear a lot of eyeshadow. I feel like you'd love this just because you can't really go wrong with it. It's not too pigmented. It's not like way pigmented, if you know what I mean. Like this type of shades where you dip in, you need to be careful, like a Tarte or Anastasia shadow where you have to be careful. It's not like that, but it is pretty pigmented. Let's just swatch a couple shades. Let's swatch Cherry Blossom here, the D. And I've ruined it. Oh no. You see that? And then let's swatch this green. I'm a weirdo, which is the A. So there they are right there. I mean, they're definitely not bad. They're not bad at all. I kind of swatched them on accident, but they're not bad at all. Like, they have decent pigment. The mattes definitely are better than the shimmers, so I would keep that in mind. But overall, the palette itself is beautiful. Sorry, I was not in focus, but overall the palette is beautiful. I just don't think it's the best thing I've ever used, but I do like it. I do recommend it to you if you have been thinking about it. It is great for the price. I forgot to turn on my lights till just now, so sorry. This is the Black Heart Pastel Dreams eyeshadow palette. I have talked about this before on my channel. I have used it before, and to be honest, this will 100% be in a future declutter video. I mean, the shades in here, they're just plain on disappointing. I mean, they have no pigment. I only use them as like a mapping shade if I want to map out a color, or like a lid topper. That's like the only way to use these. They are not able, like, you're not able to use them on their own. They definitely need some work with this. I have used other Black Heart products before that are much better than this, And I think it's just because they're pastel. Sometimes pastel colors can just, they get lost. I mean, they're so chalky. There it is swatched right there. It looks pretty, but when you start blending, it just blends away. And then you are left with nothing. And it's just chalky and powdery, and overall it's not a great formula. If they were to redo this, I feel like it would be much, much, much better. But I do use it for lid toppers or to map out a shade, or I want something to be really, really subtle. I do use it for that. So if you are looking for something like that, then you would love this. But if you are looking for this, if you're thinking about using this on its own, you will be very disappointed because the formula is just not there. Like, it's not right, but it is good for like lid toppers, like I said. All right, this is the BareMinerals, the Hidden Treasure palette. This looks like this. It is so, so pretty. I hope you guys can like see it without seeing yourselves. There you are, but there it is right there. This palette looks really boring, and I will admit that it looks really, really boring. I saw it online and I was like, man, that's boring. But when you actually see it in person, I feel like it looks completely different. Like, these shades definitely do look similar. Ecru and Sugar Free, they look the same. I mean, they do look the same. But the formula of these shadows are unbelievable. If you have not tried a BareMinerals shadow, you absolutely need to. Top 5 favorite shadow formula ever, just from this palette alone. Like, it is an amazing formula. I should have used this palette today for the look I did today, but I didn't. I used a different palette, which I will talk about soon. But this formula is so great. I do think the Hidden Treasure palette was limited edition, but I do know that most of these shades in here are permanent or very similar to this. I have heard a lot of people say that they just use some permanent shades to make a palette, which is okay, but I know a lot of people were mad about it. But I absolutely love the formula of this. It's amazing. The palette is nice and heavy. They're very, very pigmented, very blendable, very easy to work with. They're very, very user friendly, which is amazing. I hate palettes that you really have to struggle with. I don't like using them. I have used them, but I don't love using them. This is very user-friendly. There's plenty of buffer shades in here. There's lighter shades, and then there's deeper shades if you want to deepen it up. You can have light lid shades. They have kind of like a nice mix of shades in here. And I do really, really like this palette. I love the packaging, and I'm actually excited to try more BareMinerals products because of this. I don't have a lot. I haven't tried a lot from BareMinerals, but this makes me very excited. I really, really like this. This is the Jaclyn Hill x Morphe Vault, and I did a whole video dedicated on all 4 of these. And I also did individual review videos on each individual palette. So I have 5 videos in total over the Vault, and I think it took me like a month to do them all. But I really liked the Vault as like itself, like a vault, all 4 palettes together. And when I started using the palettes individually, my thoughts didn't really change that much. I know a lot of people had a lot of mixed feelings about these 4 palettes. To me, they worked perfectly fine. I bought them off Morphe's website, but I know a lot of people say that they had a lot of inconsistency within their palettes. I did not have that problem, so I will just talk about them now for you. This is Armed and Gorgeous, and this is what she looks like here, if it'll focus. There we go. This palette is stunning, and I honestly thought this would be my favorite one out of all 4 of them when I saw Jaclyn talk about them, but it's actually not, and I was pleasantly surprised. I do love this palette. I have used it a bunch, but it's not my favorite out of all 4 of them. I will link the video over this specific one in the cards or down below or somewhere. If I've done a video over the palette, I will try to link it in the cards for you guys. I know that's really helpful. I really like the shimmers in this palette the most. I don't use the mattes as often as I use the shimmers, just because I feel like the shimmers are really unique in tone. The mattes are pretty unique too, but not as unique, I find, as the tones of these golds. So if you are a gold lover, you would absolutely love this palette. I was very impressed. This one is Dark Magic. This is my least favorite one, and apparently it was your guys's as well. Just because I did a poll on Instagram to see which one you guys would like to see first, and this was voted last, unfortunately. But the palette itself is nice. this is just my least favorite one because I don't use shades like this a lot. The shades in here it's pretty much an all matte palette almost. There are, I think, 3 shimmers and it looks like 1 satin matte, but I don't use shades like this a lot. I don't use dark greens and dark blues, especially matte, a lot. I don't wear matte eyes all the time. I'm wearing one today, but I don't wear them all the time. Most of the time I'm wearing some type of shimmer. So I don't use this one a lot. I feel like for me, it's definitely a pairing palette. I have to use something else. But if you're subscribed to my channel, you know that I like to mix palettes all the time. Most of my videos, I'm using like one shade on one palette, another from another, just so I can use as many palettes as I can because clearly I have way too many for one person. This is a supporter palette for me personally, but I do know that a lot of people really like this palette. It's a great palette. I just don't use it a lot. And I do love the green potion. This army green right here is an amazing, amazing army olivey green. I absolutely love it. This is my second favorite. This is Ring the Alarm, and I think this palette is a warm tone lover's dream. If you love warm tones, you'd absolutely love this. The mattes in here remind me of the Modern Renaissance, just the berry undertone. But this palette is amazing. I absolutely love it. I actually took the entire vault to my sister's wedding. When I was in charge of her makeup, my makeup, and all the bridesmaids. And I took the vault with me. I also took a couple other palettes, which I will tell you about. But I only used 2 products. I used the vault and I also used the original Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, which I will show you in a second. But yeah, I absolutely love this. The bridesmaids who I used this palette on absolutely loved it as well. And yeah, it's just beautiful. I love these 2 shades, Lolly and Bomb Ass. Incredible. I absolutely love them. Next is Bling Boss, and for a long time I wanted to say Bling Bloss, but it's Bling Boss. This is my favorite one out of all of them, and that surprised me a lot because I don't wear purple eyeshadows a lot, but this is my favorite purpley toned eyeshadow palette that I have. This is my favorite purple gem right here. Is my favorite purple in my entire collection. I don't know what it is about this purple, but it's my favorite one to work with. I've used this palette a ton. There's a huge indentation on Hush Hush right here. I mean, I don't even know if you guys can see it. Can you see it? You kind of can. There's a huge indentation right there. It reminds me of, I think, Buon Fresco, I think it's what it's called, in the Modern Renaissance. That's kind of like the tone I get. They're not the same, but they're very similar. I absolutely love this palette. This is my favorite one of all 4 of the vaults. So if you are choosing between, if you only want one, I would recommend Bling Boss or Ring the Alarm. They're my absolute favorites. Bling Boss is my personal favorite, but just depending on what you like. Now, if you've been thinking about the vault and you saw like the mixed reviews, I would still give them a chance. Just because I know a lot of people had problems doesn't mean they're bad. I didn't have any problems with mine at all. They're amazing. I absolutely love the little thing that they come in. They're so cute. I love how it matches. They're just a really nice formula. I really like them. So I would still give them a chance if you have been thinking about them. And Morphe's really good about doing returns. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you can always return it and buy something else. This is a palette you guys have seen a lot. This is the BH Cosmetics 2nd edition 120 color eyeshadow palette. So I will do close-ups of the bottom tray first, just because 120 shades, there's no way I can get them all on screen. But this is the bottom tray right here, and clearly this has gotten some love. This shade up here has been used and abused. And then this is the top tray. The top tray is the one I use the absolute most, so I don't know if they're the same for everybody, but I didn't even rearrange the palette. This is just how I opened it. So yeah, I love the top tray in this the most, just because I use shades like this the absolute most. And this palette is very hit or miss for me. Not every single shade in here is amazing. I do struggle with these shimmery greens a lot, but I don't struggle with the oranges or the yellows or the pinks. It's just pretty much the greens. And there are 120 shades in here. So you really don't need anything else other than this unless you are a makeup addict like I am and you just need every palette in the world. But yeah, this palette is great for people who love color. I don't know if it's still available. I haven't been able to find it to link it underneath videos in a long time. But if you do happen to see it, I would snatch it. The packaging does get pretty dirty, but it's nice. There's a mirror in here if you can see that, and there are, like I said, 120 shades. So you really can't go wrong with having this. Some shades are just better than others, but if you are new to using color and new to using eyeshadow, I think this would be perfect for you. I only had this for like my colorful palette for a really long time, and it worked just fine. So yeah, I've moved on to bigger and better things, but I refuse to get rid of this because it's still just so good, you know? All right, this is the Lorac Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales Treasure in the Stars palette. This was limited edition, so I'll try not to dwell on it, but this is what the palette looks like right here. Now, a lot of people did not like this palette, and I really don't know why. I think this palette was incredible. I feel like my brightness just got really bright. I feel like this palette was incredible. The Lorac Pro Shadow Formula is amazing. I absolutely love the Lorac shadows, and these are no exception. A lot of people just didn't get the color scheme in this, which I could see where that would happen. There seems to be just like a lot of random shades, but I absolutely love that because it let me get out of my comfort zone. I actually wore this to my senior prom. My dress was mint green, and I used this mint green called Sea Haze right here, and I absolutely loved it. These shadows are amazing. I absolutely love the packaging. I think it's just so cute. I would recommend this to absolutely anybody. I know it was limited edition, but if you can find it, I would snatch it because it is a really great palette. Okay, I had to change camera batteries, but I am back to finish. So the next palette I have to share with you, I don't know why I'm yelling. This is the Too Faced Natural Love palette. I think this was limited edition, but I'm not sure. But this is what the palette looks like right here. If you can't tell, I have quite a few of limited edition palettes, but a lot of people, again, did not like this palette. They said it was just another neutral palette, and although that is true, it is just another neutral palette. I feel like Too Faced is really bad at launching just neutral palettes, and I love Too Faced shadows. They're my favorite formula ever, but I do agree that Too Faced launches a lot of just neutral palettes, but I love this palette. I really do. This was like the only palette I used for months when I first got it. I haven't used it recently, but I refuse to get rid of it. I absolutely love it. I think the shades in here are incredible. To me, this has everything you could ever need in it. And if I didn't have a channel, I probably would only have this. I'm just kidding, because even before I had a channel, I had a ton of makeup, but this was, I feel like, one of the best purchases I think I ever made, because there's every single shade in here that I could ever need, because I wear a lot of neutral looks, not gonna lie. I wear a lot of neutral looks, and this has every neutral color that I personally could ever want. I love how even though there's a ton of shades, it's still a pretty small palette. So now I have the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. This is the original one, and this is what I used at my sister's wedding, and it is used and abused, let me tell you. Can you see it? There we go. Yeah, it's used and abused. You can see that this side's really dirty, and that's because I really like this palette. I did a review video on this, and I know I did a review video almost like a year after it launched, but it's an incredible palette. This is worth all the hype it got when it first launched, and I feel like nobody talks about it anymore, and I really don't know why. It's a really great palette. I think it's pigmented, it's blendable, it's very easy to use. I love this quad right here. These four are my absolute favorite in the whole palette, but yeah, I feel like this is, again, another really user-friendly palette. Anybody could use this. There's really every shade you could ever need in this. I mean, really, there's every single shade. The only shade for me personally that is missing is a matte cream highlight shade. I don't like to use shimmers on my, I said shimmers, but shimmers. I don't like to use shimmers on my eyebrow, my brow bone, but yeah. I have used them, I just don't love to use them. I prefer a matte brow bone highlight. Why is that so hard for me to say? But this palette is great. I love the mattes in here. It's incredible. I used this on my sister for her wedding, and she absolutely loved the look that I did. So yeah, I absolutely love it. I like how the names are actually on the back. I think that's so cute with a color swatch. So genius, because people, like, when they just put the color, it's really hard to see which one it is. But this is very easy to know which shade you're actually using. So I love that. Nice little touch there. Okay, so I have two drawers in my salon cart of eyeshadows. This is the first one. This is more of like just awkwardly shaped palettes. They're a little bit too big, or too small to go with my other palettes, and I don't want them to get lost, so that's kind of what these guys are. So the first one is the Tarte's Pro. This is actually what I used today to do my eyeshadow, and I did film this look. It should already be up by now, but if it's not, it's coming very, very soon. It's Goddess Woman for Sweetener, in case you were wondering. This is what the palette looks like right here. You can say hello to yourself and the paper towels, but this is what the palette looks like right here. I bought this palette because I feel like it's more cool tone than a lot of my other palettes, and it is. I don't use this palette a lot. I will be straight up honest. I don't use this palette a lot. I think I've used it like 3 or 4 times, and I've had it almost a year. I just don't use shades like this a lot, and that's the whole reason I bought it, because I thought it would, you know, get me out of my comfort zone and I would start using more cool tone shades. I didn't really. The shadows in here are really nice. Tarte does make a great eyeshadow formula, but I just don't use shades like this a lot. The palette itself is great, so I refuse to get rid of it. So if you have been thinking about it, I would recommend it if it's something you would use. But if you're like me and you're not really sure, then I'd probably just pass on it, just because it is a more expensive palette. This is a palette I know you guys have seen 100,000 times. So I don't even think I should give like a mini review, but I am anyway. I did a full in-depth video on this. This is the My Little Pony, the movie palette, and I absolutely love this palette. If you are subscribed to my channel, you have seen this palette. I mean, I know you have. I used it constantly in 2018. I really think this palette is great. If Pure launched this again and made it permanent or something almost identical to this, I would 100% buy it. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. This is the only matte red shade I have in my entire collection, and I absolutely love it. This shade is very, very dented. Like, I've used a crap ton of Tempest shadow right here, but this palette, even though it's colorful, it's not too colorful to where you can't make it wearable, if that makes any sense. It's a great palette. I absolutely love this. The formula is amazing. I know a lot of people dislike Pure's eyeshadow palette formula, but I personally was a huge fan based off this palette. I really do like it. I love this palette so much. I'm so glad I purchased it. It's really cute. It's actually pretty small, which I also really like. And I love every shade in this palette. I've used every single shade multiple times, but my favorite is definitely this matte red. It's the only matte red I have in my entire collection, so very, very important to have to me. Next, this is another Tarte palette. This was limited edition. This is the Tarte Make Believe in Yourself Eye and Cheek palette, and this is what it looks like right here. The mirrored backing on these make it hard for you to see. A lot of people, again, did not like this palette because there's only one matte, which is Myth, and the rest are shimmers. I like that about the palette. Personally, I just use this kind of for like lid toppers and just the shimmers mostly anyway. But if I'm if I'm in a rush, I will use this palette. I will put Myth in my crease and either Pixie or Crystal on my lid and just go. The only shade I don't love is the highlighter. It's kind of like a iridescent pink highlighter with it's like a pink yellow shift. I don't love the highlighter. It's kind of chunky on my texture. I have texture and it kind of looks chunky. I don't really love the highlighter, but I love all the other shades in here. This palette would be great if you absolutely love color and shimmer. I think this palette would be great, but it was limited edition and I don't think it's available anymore. So this is the Katy Perry Katy Kat palette with CoverGirl. This is Cool Cat, and this is what it looks like right here. I have to hold it upside down so you guys can see the shades. The pans in here are absolutely adorable. I mean, they're cats. Look at that. This one is definitely one of my least used palettes, just because the shades in here, I don't use them a lot, but I think this formula is amazing. One of the best drugstore eyeshadow formulas I have ever used. It's amazing. Again, I don't use shades like this all the time, so the one I love the most, I have both of them. This is Hot Cat. This is the one I use the most just because it's warm tones and I think it is absolutely beautiful. They need to make these permanent. I don't know why they were limited edition, but they need to make these permanent because the formula in these is amazing. And if you use them with each other, incredible. I believe I used this in my Pete Davidson video. It might have been Pete Davidson. I think it was Pete Davidson. If it wasn't Pete Davidson, it's another video that's coming very, very, very soon. And I don't want to give it away because you guys will like figure out what it's for and then I'll ruin the whole surprise. But yeah, if it's not Pete Davidson, it's coming very, very soon. This palette in action. But I absolutely love these and they're super, super small. They're so cute. All right, another drugstore palette. This is the Hard Candy Look Pro Neutral Eyes eyeshadow palette. This to me is the Too Faced chocolate bar and the semi-sweet chocolate bar having a baby. Like, this is what the baby would look like. I always travel with this palette. This is my favorite drugstore palette ever that's neutral. I do have a favorite colorful palette, which I will show you next, but this is a great palette. I know they have a ton of these. I think they have like 5. I think the 5 are permanent, maybe some are limited edition. I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with hard candy, but I love this formula. I did try their all matte palette and I didn't like that at all. The matte formula in this is different than the matte formula in that. So if you tried that and you didn't like it, I would try this because I really liked this. I travel with this. To me, when I travel, this is all I can need, and it's in this really stiff metal tin, so I know that the shadows won't end up breaking. This is my favorite colorful drugstore palette. This is the NYX Ultimate Brights palette, and I bought this palette specifically for my sweetener series. It is probably one of the smartest things I've ever done because I've used this, I think, in almost every single one of the videos, maybe except for like 3, maybe not even that many. But I absolutely love this palette. It's incredible. NYX makes great eyeshadows. They have great products. My favorite thing by NYX are their lip products, 100%, but their eyeshadows are great as well. Some of the shades in here are not that great. The yellow in here is okay. This light lavender is okay, but a lot of times lighter shades can be a little more difficult to formulate. But the shades in here overall are great. You can get the 2 that I just mentioned to use. You just kind of have to take a little bit more patience, which I don't really have. So yeah, you can get the palette to work, and I like how you can use shades in the palette. You can just use the palette to get a look. It's not one of those palettes where you have to have a supporting palette. That's how I use it though. I do use it as a supporting palette because it is so colorful, but I absolutely love this palette. I 100% would recommend it to you because it is amazing. Then I have the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes, and I absolutely adore this palette. First off, it smells amazing, and this is what it looks like right here. If you were subscribed to my channel early last year, you would have seen this palette. I was obsessed with this palette for a hot minute. And I do not have the white peach, but I really want it, so I feel like I'll have that very soon just because I want the white peach palette. It's so cute. Like, it's so cute. But I absolutely love this palette. This palette is perfect if you love peaches. I mean, honestly, this palette is amazing. If you don't have a peach tone palette, I would get this one and the Too Faced Sweet Peach, and you're set, because I like to use this palette on its own, but I also like to use it with the Sweet Peach palette because of all the mattes in here. I absolutely love this palette. It's all matte. I think this might be one of my only all matte palettes, if not the only one. I'm trying to think. Is it the only one? I'm not sure, but I absolutely love this. The formula is amazing. I mean, I love Too Faced shadows, and what more can I say? I absolutely love this. Then I have the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Jelly. I did a review video on this as well, I think the beginning of last year, and this is discontinued now, which makes me so sad. I absolutely love this palette, and it's so cute. The Too Faced 9-pan shadows are so cute, and I absolutely love that this palette is like warm neutrals with that pop of purple that work together. Sometimes I feel like companies put in a pop of color and it doesn't really work with the palette. This works, and it is amazing. I absolutely love this formula, and I use this, I believe, on the 4th of July just for a quick look, and that's mostly how I use this palette, for a quick look. And if I'm in a rush and like last minute, like, hey girl, you want to go somewhere, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm going to put on my face, grab this and just quickly do something. Like if they're going to be here in 10 minutes, this is great for that. I absolutely love this palette. I love how tiny it is. And the other Too Faced 9-pan palette I have is the Boudoir Eyes. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. This is a newer one to me, and this is what it looks like right here. This palette, I will be honest, does look pretty boring, and it is an okay palette. I mean, it's not my favorite Too Faced palette ever, and I just sank. Why'd I sink? Oh, my chair scooted back. Yeah, it's not my favorite Too Faced palette ever. I mean, it's okay, but that's all I really would say about it. It's not my favorite. It's all right. I mean, it works, but it's not my favorite. And I haven't used it enough to really say if I like it completely or not. So I'm going to keep trying it, and then I'll let you guys know. But it's not my favorite as of right now, but it is still really good if you just need a quick palette for like every day. I feel like this would be perfect for every day. It's cool toned, which I don't have a lot of cool tones. I don't wear a lot of cool tones, so I'm going to give it a chance. Moving on to the top drawer. This entire drawer is Too Faced, Lorac, and Anastasia with the exception of one Urban Decay palette. So yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of the same name brands over and over, or brand names over and over again, because those are just my favorite. All right, we're actually gonna start in the back of the drawer. This is the Too Faced Original Chocolate Bar. This started my makeup obsession. I absolutely love this palette. I think this palette is everything. I saved up forever to get this, and this was my first ever palette. This was my first ever high-end palette, and this is my favorite palette. Out of every single palette I own, if I could only have one, I would choose this one. I mean, clearly it's been abused. I mean, I dug my acrylic nail into that back when I had acrylics, and I've almost hit pan on semi-sweet milk chocolate and salted caramel, I believe. Yeah, all three of those. I'm almost hit pan on them. I absolutely love this palette. I will be honest though, I haven't used it in a long time, but this is one palette that I will always have in my collection. It is a staple for me. It's my absolute favorite palette ever. I mean, it just has everything I could ever want in it. I know a lot of people didn't like that it didn't have a matte black in it, but I personally don't need a matte black. Can you guys even see that swatch? I did such a horrible swatch. I'm a horrible swatcher, but I personally don't need a matte black because I don't wear matte black a lot. But this palette is amazing. I absolutely love it, and I feel like this was so popular for a while on YouTube, and then it just kind of vanished, but it needs to be brought back because it's amazing. Then I have the Lorac Pro 3. This is my favorite Lorac palette that I have, and it looks like this. This is a very warm tone palette, so if you love cool tones, this would not be for you. I absolutely love how Lorac palettes are all matte on top and all shimmer on bottom. I absolutely love how they're set up like that, because shimmers sometimes can have a lot of fallout with their glitter and shimmer pigment. So having the mattes on top eliminates the shadows mixing together, which I absolutely love. But I absolutely love this palette. I mean, this made it, I think, into my 2017 yearly favorites. I haven't used it in a minute because I've been trying to finish my sweetener series, and I could have used it today, but I decided to use Tarte because I haven't used Tarte a lot either. I've used this a whole bunch, and I absolutely love this palette. I dug my nail into this one, which makes me so sad, but I absolutely love this palette. If you only can pick up one Lorac Pro palette, I would recommend this one. I just love it so much. It's my absolute favorite one, and it's so cute. I absolutely love it. I did a review on this palette exactly a year ago, I think today. I think that's what Facebook Memory said. This is the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette, and I absolutely love how Too Faced is keeping the chocolate bar palettes coming. I mean, if they launched another one tomorrow, I would be at Sephora purchasing it 100%. But this is what this palette looks like. And I know I don't have a lot of videos using this on my channel, so I actually have quite a few videos planned with this specific palette in mind. So if you are looking forward to that, or you want to see that, subscribe to my channel. I have quite a few videos like that. I went through all my palettes and I was like, I need to do more looks with this palette, and like this one and this one. So I did that, but beside the point, I absolutely love this palette. I did a review on this, like I said, and there's only 4 mattes in here, but for me, that's all I could ever need. And I love how this palette is neutral, but there are your pops of color. This gold is unlike any other gold in my entire collection. It's like a true gold, and I absolutely love it. I love this pink New Money. Makes me think of Titanic, where Rose is like, and mother called her New Money or whatever. But I absolutely love this palette. It smells like chocolate, and I love it. I love it so much. This one's actually plastic. The other ones are like a metal tin that magnet together. This one like clips, which is weird, but I like it. This is the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons. This is my least used chocolate bar palette, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the tones in here, I don't use them very often. And I remember when this launched, this was all anybody talked about. I mean, this was the hype. And now I feel like nobody talks about the chocolate bonbons, and that makes me so sad because it is a great palette, but I understand why. It's just, I feel like not a lot of people use the tones in here, which is why I don't use it a lot. I don't use the tones in here very often, but I use it enough to where I keep it, and I absolutely love Too Faced, like I said, and I absolutely love this palette, and I did dig my nail into this one as well when I had acrylics. I was deadly with those things. I'm not kidding, but I absolutely love this palette. It's great. Again, if you've been thinking about it, I would recommend it because it's so good. It's absolutely amazing. There are a couple shades that do look pretty similar on the eyes, so I would keep that in mind, but there are quite a few palettes like that. I did a review video over this as well. This is the Lorac Pro 4, And a lot of people, I feel like this palette didn't get talked about at all. Like I saw Lorac post this and then that was it. Like nobody posted about it, nobody did reviews on it, and I love this palette. I love Lorac so much, and again, I'm so happy that they're keeping the Lorac Pro palettes coming. Like I love that. And I absolutely love how this palette is more berry themed. Like I feel like that was really in 2017. I know this just recently launched, but I feel like that was really in, and I feel like berries are tones that I absolutely love that I find a lot of brands don't have full palettes. I know Anastasia does and Lorac does, but I feel like a lot of other brands don't have a whole berry tone palette. This palette's absolutely amazing. I took this with me to my sister's wedding and I didn't even use it on anybody, but it was just there as a backup palette in case I wanted to use it, and I absolutely love this. It's incredible. Again, if you've been thinking about it, I would recommend it. Any of the Lorac Pro palettes are incredible. I do have all 4 of them. So yeah, any of them are amazing. So if you have been thinking about one, I would just grab the one that you really think that you would use the most, but this one is incredible. Then I have the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. This is that palette I was talking about earlier that I like to pair with the Just Peachy mattes. This palette is so amazing. I absolutely love the smell of it. I love the sweet peach smell, and this palette is so great. I love these 2 like really peach tones right here in the center. In the springtime, I will be using the crap out of this palette, so I would beware because you'll probably see a lot of tutorials with this, but peach makeup I find is so beautiful. I feel like everybody looks good in like a peach eye. It's everything to me. I'm obsessed with it. I absolutely love this palette. I think this palette is incredible. There are a couple shades in here I don't really use a lot, like these 4 I don't use a lot, but I still love them. Alright, I did a review video over this as well. This is the Anastasia Soft Glam. I think this is our first Anastasia palette in this whole video. And this is what it looks like right here. I did a whole video dedicated to this, and I absolutely love this palette. This palette is one of my favorites, obviously, but I absolutely love the colors in here. A lot of people said it was just another neutral palette, and it is. It's just another neutral palette, but it's a neutral palette that is amazing. I believe I used this in my successful video. I think so. I hope so, but yeah, I think I used it there. I have used it on my channel before. Like I said, I did an entire video dedicated to this palette. I absolutely love this. The mattes in here are so creamy. They're so creamy. I absolutely love it. And I love that there is a dusty rose shade in the corner here. I feel like it just completes the palette. Like it's not just another brown, like it's like a dusty rose. So it's something to switch up the look without being too crazy, which I absolutely love. Then I have my only Urban Decay palette. This is the Urban Decay Naked Heat, and this palette is like me in a palette, I swear. I absolutely love warm tone shades. This palette is great. I have eyeliner on my finger, and I absolutely love this palette. I love how it has more mattes than anything. These type of tones on blue eyes are everything to me. I think they are so beautiful. Now, you're probably gonna hear I did a review video on this. I did a review video on this a lot in this video, but I think the next 3 palettes I've actually done a review video on, so bear with me. But I did a review video on this. This is the Lorac Pro Original, and I know that this palette's been out forever. I just filmed a review video anyway. I love filming review videos. This is what it looks like right here. To be honest, I haven't used this palette a lot compared to my other palettes, but I absolutely love this palette. I will never get rid of this. I searched like every Kohl's in the state of Indiana for this palette, and I could not find it. And I finally found it. I'm so happy that I finally did, because I absolutely love this palette. I have a couple videos planned using just this palette, like I said, but I absolutely love this palette. I was going to use it today, but then I saw Tarte and I was like, I haven't used Tarte really at all that much, so I'm gonna use that one instead. But I absolutely love this. The shade Gold is amazing. I absolutely love it. So I love this. I also filmed a review on this. This is the Norvina palette by Anastasia. This is a relatively new palette and looks like this. I absolutely love this. I feel like this is a really unique palette. I don't have really any other palette that has all these shades in it together. This is one of my newest palettes. This is my Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette, and I think the packaging is adorable. And it smells like gingerbread. It's amazing. It is limited edition for holiday 2018, so if you see it, I would 100% snatch it. The shades in here are so great. I absolutely love it. Even though it's neutral, it's very, very warm tone. There are still pops of color. A lot of these shades have a really unique undertone to them. I absolutely love this palette. Again, I did a full video in depth over this, so if you want to see that, I will link it in the cards. But I absolutely love this palette. I think it's so great. I did get a request from one of you guys to use it in a video, and I think I used it in my sweetener video. I'm not sure, but I think it was sweetener, and I absolutely love this. This is the Lorac Pro 2, and whenever I think of cool tones, I think of this palette. I mean, right here. I don't ever reach for anything else when I think of cool tones. I don't have a lot of cool tones. Whenever I think of cool tones, I go straight to this palette. Whenever I want a silver, I go straight to this silver right here. I absolutely love this palette. I mean, it's incredible. This was my first Lorac Pro palette, and it made me fall in love. I busted Rosé, which makes me so sad. It's my favorite shade in the whole palette, but I absolutely love that shade. I wouldn't have been so upset if I busted like Mocha or Cocoa. I don't use those as much as Rosé, but Rosé is my absolute favorite. I absolutely love this palette, and yeah, you can't go wrong. If you love cool tones, snatch this. This is the Too Faced Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar, and we have 5 left after this, so don't worry. This is what it looks like right here. I absolutely love this. Again, I love it. When I saw this online, I didn't think I'd be a huge fan. The blue kind of threw me off, Blueberry Swirl. It threw me off. But when I actually got the palette and I used it, the blue is such a nice touch. It's just a nice pop of color. I like to do a matte lid and then, you know, put this as a pop of color on the lower lash line. That's my favorite way to use the blue, but I absolutely love this palette. It's incredible. I recommend the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palettes to like everybody. They're incredible. I love this. This is probably my most used one, but I absolutely love every single one of them. Then I have another one. This is the Too Faced White Chocolate Bar, and this was limited edition for holiday, I think last year, the year before, 2017. This is limited edition holiday 2017. And this is what it looks like right here. A lot of people did not love the colors in here, but I do. I feel like this palette's really unique. They're lighter shades, but they're like unique colors. Like, I really do like them. I love this mint chocolate shade and this lavender cake shade. They're very unique in my collection. Okay, I don't know where I left off with the white chocolate bar palette because I talked to my dad for like 3 minutes and my brain is gone. So I love this palette. It's great. I think it's incredible, but it was limited edition and unfortunately it's no longer available. This is top 5 favorite palettes ever. This is the Anastasia Modern Renaissance. I've almost hit pan on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shades. I have 6 shades in here that are indented quite a lot. This is one of my most used palettes, top 5 favorites. I absolutely love this palette. I'm thinking about doing a top 10 favorite eyeshadow palette video because I have so many, and this will definitely be in that video. This is a berry tone warm lover's dream. This palette shook the internet for a fantastic reason because it is so worth it, and the shades in here are incredible. I've used every single shade in here probably 1,000 times, and I absolutely love it. This is one of those palettes that I've loved every single look I've ever created. I absolutely adore this palette. It's amazing. This is one of my most used palettes. This is the Too Faced Clover palette, and look how cute the packaging is. But the shades in here are absolutely adorable. This is TooFaced.com exclusive, I believe, and I absolutely love this. If you see any of my thumbnails where I'm wearing a yellow shadow, 95% of the time is probably this one, good boy. This is the Anastasia Prism palette. This is what it looks like right here. I love this palette. This is my favorite shade. Spear is my favorite one, and like, this is like the shade everybody hates on, but it's my favorite shade. It's so unique, and I love it. This entire palette to me is pretty unique. I mean, Unity I could probably do without, and Obsidian, of course, but you know, I love this palette. I have used this a ton, and I used it recently in, was it Every Time? No, it wasn't Every Time. It was one of my sweetener videos where I used this, and I absolutely love it. I think this palette is great. The shimmers in here, the mattes, again, I love Anastasia shadows, and you guys have seen me talk about this, so I will not talk about it anymore. And last but not least is the newest one to my entire collection. This is the Anastasia Sultry palette, and I did an entire video dedicated to this as well. And this is what it looks like right here. This palette is unique in the sense that it is mostly cool tones. I mean, this is a cool tone palette with a pop of color, and it's a very unique palette. When you actually look at it, it's really unique. When you just glance at it, I feel like it looks like everything else. When you actually think about the undertones, it's really unique. I mean, the noir shade, there's black in like every palette ever, but I absolutely love this palette so much. I did an entire video on this, so if you're curious about that, I will link it in the cards because it should already be up, but I absolutely love the packaging as well. So that is every single eyeshadow palette I own in my entire collection. I have way too many, and I will probably buy more. Without a doubt, I will buy more. I absolutely love them. They're my obsession with makeup, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit my notification bell before you leave, and I will see you in my next video.